When you look at The Last Faith, I'm sure inspirations come to your mind. Castlevania, Bloodborne, Blasphemous. Yes, yes, and yes. You're absolutely right on that. It's all three of those, but it's also unique enough to stand out on its own. I absolutely loved this game. And the great thing about it is that even after 25 hours and the credits rolling, there is still more for me to do as my game file is only just at 69%.
Nice.
In my eyes, a great Metroidvania gives me more that I want to do even after I beat the final boss. The anticipation and the satisfaction to use new abilities in order to open up new passageways and find secrets. Slap on a Bloodborne style aesthetic and Souls-like combat and you have The Last Faith. Here's my too long didn't read. It's not a perfect game, but it comes close and it delivers a unique Souls-like experience that I could really recommend to anyone. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's talk about the level design first. As you can see, it's very much your typical Metroidvania style map. It's got connecting ladders and doors that sometimes you'll have to come back to later. The areas themselves also have different themes. You have ice areas, mansions, caves and swamp areas, and other various looking different environments, which I thought were very aesthetically pleasing. My only real complaint with the map is basically some quality of life things that I wish were there. For example, when I died and dropped my souls, it would not tell me on the map where they were, so I'd have to remember exactly where I was in order to find them. There's also no objective on the map, there's no real clue on where I'm supposed to go next, but in a way that kind of added to the experience with the exploration. I felt like it was more satisfying to find where to go, but I will admit at times it was a little bit frustrating, especially when I just had to consciously remember where I'm leaving so I could come back later. I'd have to look at the names of the areas and memorize where I just was, because going back to it, it was very easy to forget and very easy to get lost. So that's really my main complaint with it. But overall, I felt that it was somewhat forgivable because farming was easy to do, the items were easy to buy, the heal items, for example, very cheap, so I didn't have to farm much in order to get those souls back and then buy healing items, which are consumables. Much like Bloodborne, you consume them. They don't replenish like the flask. So you had to go and actually find and buy those healing items. But like I said, they're very cheap, so it wasn't too unforgiving if I did lose my souls or forget where they were. And on top of all that, just the fact that exploring in this game was really satisfying. Just exploring and finding new areas and making that percent go up on my completion just has that satisfying feeling to it. And to me, a good Metroidvania provides that. And I just straight up love Souls Metroidvania. I feel like it's such a great mix. It's probably my favorite when it comes to Souls-like games. And with this game having a Bloodborne kind of Castlevania aesthetic, I mean, is it any wonder I'd love this game? I mean, it's just gorgeous to look at and play. As far as the combat goes, I was able to unlock a variety of weapons, but my favorite was this great sword right here, and it kicked ass the entire game. It's very Souls-like when it comes to the combat. You have your rolling, you have your dodging, your iframes, as well as satisfying executions. The only thing it's missing is some backstabs. I could use a good backstab. That would be nice. But other than that, it was pretty fun to play. I felt like the boss fights and the enemies, a lot of variety within them, but also just fun to take them out. I enjoyed farming. I enjoyed killing these enemies over and over just to do it. If I was just traveling somewhere and trying to get somewhere, I just wanted to kill everything. And that's a good sign. That means I'm enjoying the combat, I'm enjoying the enemy diversity, I'm enjoying all of it. So as far as it being a Souls-like, at its core, it does a good job of making me want to farm and beat these enemies over and over. Of course, it's got its Metroidvania-like abilities. I unlocked the dash, the double jump, and then there's also the grapple hook, which is nice for traversing. And it made it very fun, and by extension, added to the combat experience. Since I was able to dodge and double jump away from enemies and bosses, it added the sense of platforming to the challenge. But more so, the Souls-like combat really took charge, and when it was down to the basics of dodging, parrying, and attacking. The parrying I didn't really do much, okay, because I don't really parry, but but the basics ruled in defeating enemies and bosses in this game. I enjoyed pretty much every boss in this game too, which is a huge deal for me. That's easily what makes this game even better. So let's talk about these boss fights. I really appreciated the fact that some of them used the same elements, such as fire or electricity, but all were designed in such a way that makes them different from each other. Whether it be their attack patterns, the arena that we're fighting in, or the actual design of the bosses themselves. Similar themes were used, such as werewolves or flying beasts or hot mommies like this, but they're all different in some way, and I love that. It always felt within the theme, but refreshing every time because it felt new. They felt very inspired and carefully crafted, which is always a huge plus as well. I also love the bosses because they're very easy to underestimate. Some seem very easy until I got greedy and was punished for it. That's a good thing. I felt the bosses really do their job when it comes to being solid, Souls-like bosses. I underestimated them, I got greedy, I died. I learn from my mistakes and then I get it done. They all felt satisfying to defeat in that way. Some more difficult than others, but they all taught me patience and patterns to learn, and ultimately I just got my Souls-like fix that I always love, and these bosses definitely did that for me. As for the music and sound effects, I mean, there is so much Bloodborne vibes when it comes to the sound effects, from climbing the ladders, to the enemies' sounds themselves, or to the combat sound effects. It's all very Bloodborne inspired. The OST is actually really good too. Great boss theme music, as well as these ambient vibes when I'm exploring caves and other areas. Music that was very fitting for each area, and sometimes emotionally kind of tugging my heartstrings. Of course, that's always a plus. If you can make me cry a little bit, feel a little something inside, I mean, that's even better. And then when it comes to the storytelling in the game, you're probably thinking, oh, it's a Souls-like, there's probably no story. But there's actually one here. And you can tell there's a bunch of lore too, which I haven't really explored, but I can definitely see some deep dive lore coming from the community in this game, because there's a lot of characters. It looks like there's a lot of history and what's going on, and my character being a part of it, I was curious about and interested. It did feel kind of straightforward for a Souls-like, but also it still had this mystery and lore to it, which can have me guessing what certain things even mean, or what it means to me. How these certain characters are impacting the world around me, and of course, what my character means to them as well. I enjoyed the back and forth dialogue between the characters, and I liked that my character could actually talk to them. He had a voice, and I thought he kind of sounded like Geralt a little bit, just a little bit. It kind of reminded me of him. But overall, I felt all the voice acting was done well. It was believable, it was fitting. The tones and the accents and everything they had, I just felt went really well with this game and the theme. Overall, I would say The Last Faith is a must play. If you're into Metroidvania, and if you're especially into Souls Metroidvania, if you're a big fan of Blasphemous, I'm talking to you. You have to play this game. 2D games, they can be so special, and they could be just such gems, and this is definitely one of them. Even if you're not really that much into Souls, but you love Metroidvania, I think you would like this game as well. It's got great bosses, great music, great level design. Yes, I kind of have my gripes with the map and some quality of life, but overall it's a great game and I just highly recommend it. I can't praise it enough. This was definitely a sleeper for me this year, it really brought in some more Souls-like to celebrate this year, because there's just been so many great Souls-likes to come out, and this is of course another one, and it just makes the year even more special. So yeah, that's my review. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's very kind of short and to the point, but I wanted to just knock it out and let you guys know that I am high on this game. I highly recommend. And if you do happen to play it, let me know in the comment section what you think about this game. Like I said, it's not perfect. It's got a little bit of nitpicks I can do, but overall, man, it's a great game. And yeah, that's my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.